Today's terrifying, spooky spot, we're continuing our looks at the Universal Studios home of the original Monsters Frankenstein series monster figures. We're having a look today at Frankenstein. This pack includes Frankenstein's torso. You can collect all 5 Universal monsters and build your very own 14-inch Frankenstein. Because he carries the torso piece, Frankenstein's package is quite a lot larger than the Dracula that we had to look at, quite a bit beefier. But you can see just by torso alone how big this figure is going to be. This torso is actually about the same size, perhaps just a little bit smaller than the Frankenstein itself. On the back of the package, you can collect them all: the Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein, and Wolfman. Also comes free a mini poster and display stand. Come to us from the good folks over at Toy Island. It's not recommended for ages 0 to 3, as it contains small parts. In this case, though, there's not going to really be many small parts, and if anything, really large parts instead. What I am going to do is I'm going to take myself a bit of a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Frankenstein and the piece that makes up this set for the 14-inch Frankenstein. There's definitely more to come, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Included with Frankenstein, you'll get yourself a display stand saying Frankenstein down below. Spot, it's Frankenstein's monster! No, it actually says Frankenstein. This is the Frankenstein series of figures. First of all, I really like the font. It has such a dated look to it. The green font of Frankenstein on the black display base. 2 pegs for displaying Frankenstein. And of course the slot at the back, which accommodates and houses the poster that comes with Frankenstein. The poster, as well as the Dracula, was on a stiff cardboard, laminated front. It says Parental Advisory, Explicit Terror. We got Frankenstein on the front. It's alright. It's not as interesting for me as the Dracula back card. I thought the Dracula one was a lot nicer. It had a stylized look to it. I don't feel like it's as interesting as the Dracula. The Frankenstein is just all right. But you can peg it in the back. It sits extremely well. It's obviously not going to come out or anything like that. So you get that. Putting that to the side, and obviously before we have a look at Frankenstein, let's have a look at the massive piece that comes with Frankenstein. By, again, size comparison, it turns out that the torso is just a few hairs short than the actual figure that is made up, or the figure that's included. You can see, though, he wears the exact same outfit, so the 14-inch Frankenstein is going to be the exact same design as the smaller version of Frankenstein, but this is heavy. Oh, there goes Frankenstein. He is extremely heavy, this torso, which means I can imagine the Frankenstein, when you fully assemble it, is going to be a heavy piece. There is nothing that they skimped on weight-wise to this. It kind of feels like it's kind of the size and weight of a heavy burrito. You ever have a really heavy burrito? When they say, you want extra meat? Yes. Extra rice? Yes. Extra beans? Yes. Vegetables? No, that's filler. Extra everything else? That's about what you're getting here. That's a heavy torso. When you start adding components to it, like for example the arm, we get the one arm that came with Dracula. Just peg that into place. Not the easiest, mind you, but peg that into place. Oh, and there goes the arm. In a good way. I should have worded that a little bit better, but the joint on the arm is extremely stiff. But we got one arm, and then to add on to that, we've got the head of Frankenstein, and that just pegs in. It's actually just a single peg. It's not a ball joint or anything like that. And I'm just going to swivel it, just kind of rotate it, get it on there. It's an extremely tight fit. Oh, there we go. There we go. And you've got some of Frankenstein. Not all of it. We're obviously missing some components. But you can see that it's still a little bit different in size. Well, in overall proportions, obviously is much bigger. But sculpt-wise, it's a little bit different than the actual head. This Frankenstein, the larger Frankenstein, is going to be a much little fatter of a face than what this Frankenstein is. So it's different. It's not quite the same. It's not just a scaled-up version. It looks like it is slightly different. Moving that out of the way, we obviously will complete more of Frankenstein as the reviews progress. Let's have a look at Frankenstein, the smaller 6-inch figure. He's really nice. Something that also I mentioned with the Dracula. Now, we have gotten lots of Frankenstein figures. Diamond Select has done a whole bunch of Frankenstein figures, also falling under the Universal Studios Home of the Original Monsters moniker. But truth be told, I think Toy Island did a better job with Frankenstein than what we've gotten with other manufacturers. It's not quite... I don't think it's quite accurate. It's still a little off. Doesn't quite look like Boris Karloff, but still, I think it's pretty it's pretty close. It's about the closest thing you're gonna get, I think. The color of skin is really nice. I also like that they've included the little slice on the side of the neck there. The bolts are all there. The iconic Frankenstein hair is all there as well. He's kind of got just that, almost that blank look on his face. And I think sculpt-wise, face is really good. It's, again, right up there with Dracula. They did such a great job on this figure. The upper torso has a rubber jacket over the top. You obviously wouldn't want to take it off. That is how Frankenstein is. He's got the markings all on his hands. All the way down to his painted fingernails are all included there as well. And let's not, of course, forget the lifted boots, the additional block boots that he has there as well. The coloring on him is very nice. It's, again, Spot's probably going to say this a couple of times, looking at some of the figures, and while, truth be told, some of the figures really aren't as good as the Dracula and Frankenstein, I think the Frankenstein Dracula are probably going to be the nicest of this set. Some of them ended up being a little disappointing, but I think the Frankenstein and the Dracula are the best of this set. One thing, too, is not only you're getting a really good sculpt of a figure, but you're getting really good articulation. It's really a few notches down from something like a Marvel Legends. Super articulated and a really good sculpt on a figure equals a really, I would say, a very overlooked line. This line of Toy Island Universal figures, again, were released very limited, released in some stores, not many, and immediately sold out and were forgotten. And Spot picked these up a while back and finally lucky enough to get these reviewed. But the articulation on Frankenstein is his head rotates left and right. His arms obviously move back and forth, out as well. Rotation in the wrist, a bend also in the elbow. He has a swivel in the waist, and despite the fact that it may look like his legs are only on a swivel, the legs themselves move forward, back, out. Swivel also in the thigh, bend at the knee, which a little stiff on this one, and a hinge foot. It does also look like, no, it doesn't look like he can rotate at the foot, but you can still hinge it back and forth as well. The fact that you can also keep him on a display base, I think really shows the figure exceptionally well. And I'm not sure which one I like more. The Dracula was good, but the Frankenstein I'm really digging quite a bit. For me, as I said with the Dracula figure, I think this for me is the definitive Frankenstein's monster figure. There has been other ones, and certainly there will be future Frankenstein figures. These figures will always remain iconic. Obviously, there's always the new horror monsters out there, but we will always look back on the icons that really set the bar for horror movies. I've always loved the Universal Studios monsters, and this for me is a definitive Frankenstein. Frankenstein, I'm going to give him a very high 8.5. Today's spooky spot, we're having a look at once again another figure from the Frankenstein series of Frankenstein series monster from the Universal Studios home of the original monsters. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's got the remaining reviews to come. See you next time.